I heard Tony Blair on the radio last week. For younger viewers, Gen X, YZ, or whatever, I always have to look it up. Anyway, he was Prime Minister either when you were at primary school or just before you were born. And I'm told anyway, you won't be watching YouTube because no one does. It's TikTok and other stuff. Anyway, Tony Blair. He's a big fan of AI, artificial intelligence, and technology in general. He was on because he's talking about the future of our public services, and he thinks that the only way we'll have decent public services and they'll ever be affordable for governments, and he's particularly talking here about the NHS, is if they really use and invest in new technologies like AI for everything from appointment making, organising staff to diagnostics and actual operations. Now, he's probably right, and the problems and issues have always been that giant public organisations like the NHS, or a recent high profile example, the Post Office, have always been rubbish at choosing and organising new tech and new systems. There's been no joined up thinking. They've been sold rubbish by other big corporations and haven't had the expertise to spot the problems and so on. Well, all that PPE in the pandemic comes to mind again. Now, the big international IT outage, which has prompted this little video, has shown how things can go wrong on a big international basis by mistake, without the interference of Russian or Chinese hackers or aliens, all pretty immediately blamed. And of course, all the conspiracy theories are still raging all over the internet. Our business, thankfully, was okay. Interestingly, the companies and platforms that we use, for instance, True Potential, Transact, we chose those in part because they have over the years built their own systems and they maintain their own systems. And that's turned out to be a good thing in these circumstances. And yes, as a business, we are reliant on technology, especially as we all work remotely, as you'll know if you're a client. You could actually say that all of financial services, in fact, our whole financial system, exists on technology. Your actual money isn't stored by the bank in a big vault, it's an entry on a computer, as are all your investments and the stuff they're invested in. But what's the alternative? Now, I do have clients who don't want to or won't engage with internet banking, online banking. One or two of them actually prefer to get the bus into town once a week and go into a branch if they can find one, check balances, make payments and so on. And one problem, of course, is that there aren't many branches left. And I have to say, one thing I don't miss from years gone by are the queues at lunchtime in banks and post offices, cursing the fact that staff have all gone off to have their own lunch at the busiest time. Well, that was trades unions for you. I guess my point is, what's the alternative, and is it any better? Should our doctor surgeries, and they of course were hit badly by the big outage, should they go back to paper records, even as a backup? Cars used to break down all the time, and I imagine in the early days of cars, there are an awful lot of people saying that we should all stick to horses. Now, cars have become a heck of a lot more reliable over the years, and that's going to be the same for technology. I'm no expert, but it seems to me that maybe dividing and ruling has to be the way forward, and that those global systems all relying on the same stuff are at some time going to cause global problems and be globally vulnerable to bad people. Well, maybe it's a bit like relying on China to make all your stuff, or Russia to supply all of your gas. Another story, but hopefully you get my drift. Another point to note, as you might see behind me, I like actual books and I listen to music on vinyl. So, what do I know?